Hey there, 8th graders. Welcome to today's Explainer. Have you ever watched two sports teams completely battle it out and wondered, who was actually the better team way beyond just what the final score said? Well, today we are going to learn exactly how to analyze and compare arguments by stepping right into the arena of critical thinking. As we go through this lesson, I want you to start looking at the information all around you just a little bit differently. We aren't just reading words on a page today, we're learning how to judge a real contest of ideas. So let's take a quick look at our game plan. We've got 5 sections today: comparing arguments like athletes, why careful comparison matters, how to evaluate arguments, 3 real-world examples, and finally, knowledge with biblical morality. We're going to build up your skills step by step, taking you from basic concepts all the way to real-world practice, and then grounding the whole shebang in biblical wisdom. All right, section 1, comparing arguments like athletes. We'll be looking closely at strengths, weaknesses, and pressure. I really want you to consider competing arguments just like two star athletes stepping onto the basketball court. Think about it. When sports commentators compare athletes, they don't just look at their jerseys or how cool their shoes are, right? No, they look at their hard stats. They're checking out their shooting percentage, their defensive rebounds, their sheer speed. They weigh their strengths against their weaknesses, and most importantly, they watch to see who actually performs better under intense fourth-quarter pressure. Well, our job as readers is to do exactly the same thing with texts. We need to analyze their stats, and by stats, I mean their evidence and their logic, and see whose argument actually holds up when the pressure of critical questioning is on them. Moving right along to section 2, why careful comparison matters. This is all about why you shouldn't just believe everything you hear. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 15 has this amazing wisdom. It tells us that the simple believe everything, but the prudent give thought to their steps. Listen, we absolutely do not want to be the simple who just blindly accept the very first flashy TikTok video or loud YouTube rant that pops up in our feed. Honestly, people can make almost anything sound totally convincing if they just put some trendy music behind it. Rather, we are called to be the prudent who actively think, analyze, and protect our minds by carefully weighing what is being put in front of us. And in real life, you're constantly facing competing arguments. It's everywhere. This could be watching a fierce news debate on new school rules, listening to local policy proposals, or even just comparing 2 reviews for that new gaming console you want to buy with your hard-earned allowance. You definitely don't want to waste your money on a broken controller just because one reviewer typed in all caps and sounded super confident. Comparing arguments is exactly what helps you navigate all of this. It helps you figure out which side is actually logical, better supported, and genuinely trustworthy. Without this skill, you might just accept the loudest voice in the room, totally missing the much stronger, quieter argument standing right next to it. Okay, section 3, how to evaluate arguments. Get ready because this is your official evaluation playbook. To evaluate arguments effectively, you must always look way beyond the surface level of what an author is claiming. I want you to treat this like a coach explaining a really crucial play. You do this by running through 3 very specific steps. Step 1, identify the similarities and differences. Where do the authors actually agree, and where do their paths totally split? Step 2, evaluate which argument is stronger based on the hard evidence, the logical reasoning, and the credibility of the author. And step 3, you've got to catch any sneaky biases or emotional manipulation. Like, imagine if someone is arguing that homework should be totally banned, but then you find out they're actually the CEO of a video game company who just wants kids playing more games. That is a huge sneaky bias. You have to be able to spot that. Because sometimes an author will try to make you really angry or sad just so you stop thinking logically. Guard your mind against that. Which brings us to section 4, 3 real-world examples. It's time for our exhibition matches. In this first matchup, we've got 2 articles arguing for recycling. They share a very similar claim, but they use totally different evidence. In the left corner, we've got broad global data coming straight from environmental studies. But in the right corner, we have local anecdotes and personal stories. Now, a personal story about one specific neighborhood, that's touching for sure. But global statistics prove that the issue is real everywhere, not just in one person's backyard. So the left side absolutely wins this round by using heavy-hitting, widespread evidence. All right, for our second match, we have totally opposing claims about year-round school. The left side strongly supports it, arguing that it improves student retention, meaning students won't just forget everything they learned over a really long summer break. The right side completely opposes it, arguing we absolutely need a long summer break to preserve family time. Comparing these 2 arguments side by side like this forces us to weigh their very different priorities and logical approaches against each other. It helps you, as the prudent reader, decide what you value more: academic momentum or dedicated family bonding time. There's strong logic on both sides here, making your evaluation skills absolutely critical. In our third and final example, we see a classic matchup of logic versus emotion. The left side leans heavily on facts and statistics, a purely logical appeal. The right side leans heavily on emotional, personal stories. Now, knowing which appeal is stronger ultimately depends entirely on understanding the audience and the author's true purpose. Neither of these is inherently wrong, right? They're just different tools for different jobs. If you were trying to pass a new law, you absolutely need the hard facts on the left. But if you're trying to inspire people to donate to a really good charity, well, the emotional stories on the right might actually do a better job. A prudent reader recognizes both tactics and knows exactly how they are being used. So to practice these skills on your own, I want you to tackle these 5 homework questions. Use that playbook we just went over and make sure you really think about how credibility, bias, and emotion totally change an argument's strength. Feel free to pause this explainer right here, grab a notebook, and just take your time with them. This is exactly how you build up your mental muscles for the real world. Finally, Section 5, Knowledge with Biblical Morality. Let's talk about what it means to be a godly learner. We have spent this entire lesson sharpening our intellectual skills, learning how to be critical and highly analytical. But we really have to pause and ask ourselves a very serious question. What happens if we use all that sharp intelligence without a moral compass? Really, why does being the smartest person in the room matter at all if your heart isn't pointed in the right direction? And this brings us right to the core of the HeroesMart Academy philosophy. We intentionally intertwine biblical morality with education because, honestly, education without morality can actually cause a lot of hurt. Think about it for a second. The world is full of highly intelligent people who sometimes use their amazing persuasive skills to do the wrong things. We believe that knowledge and intelligence should exist to help you make wise, God-honoring choices, rather than simply making you more capable of winning an argument or getting what you want. We want you to be brilliant. Yes, absolutely. But we want you to be brilliant for the right reasons. The book of Romans, specifically chapter 8, verses 6 and 7, gives us the ultimate playbook for our minds. It teaches us that keeping the mind spiritually minded leads directly to life and peace. It acts as a shield, protecting us from the anxieties and the hidden dangers of worldly wisdom. So when you're out there evaluating arguments in the real world, you shouldn't just be asking, hey, is this logical? You also need to step back and ask, does this actually align with God's truth? So as you go out this week to evaluate all the arguments flying around you, whether it's on the news, on social media, or just in your daily conversations, I want to leave you with this challenge. I strongly encourage you to pursue academic excellence, but to always keep your mind centered on God, truth, wisdom, and righteous choices. Ask yourself, will you use your incredibly capable mind merely to win debates, or will you use it to honor God? Be prudent 8th graders, guard those minds of yours, and I will see you in the next lesson.